Hello, it's me, Travis of Giggles and Bits. Yeah, so I started reading this article and then I got like I think the third or fourth paragraph and I was just like, holy shit, he did not just say that. So let's dive into this and look at this moron, Alec Baldwin, who has filed a lawsuit asserting that he's not legally culpable of killing Halyna Hutchins. Can murderers do that? Can murderers like I really hope Nick Rekieta or somebody like uh legal mindset anybody that's a lawyer, I hope somebody covers this because I would be chewing that video up like crazy because this is fucking insane. Alec Baldwin has recently filed legal papers wherein the disgraced actor claims he's not legally culpable of killing Halyna Hutchins and injuring Rust director Joel Souza. Further, the document also discloses that Baldwin attempted to contact the cast of Rust to finish the filming of the movie, allegedly with the intent of honoring Helena's legacy. Like if he'd been removed from the cast, removed from being a producer, and somebody else contacted them who had taken over the project and be like, hey, look guys, tragedy struck, blah 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 blah. We're gonna move forward with this film without Alec, and we're gonna try and complete this in honor of Halyna Hutchins. That would have made perfect fucking sense. But to come from the asshole that pulled the trigger and killed her and injured Joel, nah, nah, fuck you. Alec also put, Halyna Hutchins' death is an unthinkable tragedy. Perhaps billions of rounds have been fired from guns on film and television sets over the past 75 years without incident. Blanks. Billions of blanks. And they were all like safety checked over and over and over again, multiple levels of checking to make sure that the guns were safe and loaded with blanks or not loaded at all. A lot of movie sets don't even load. Reads the legal document filed by attorney Luke Nickus on behalf of Baldwin and Eldorado Pictures on Friday, 11 of March. It continues, only a few in the single digits have resulted in fatal injury. That's because crew members generally do their job to ensure that live rounds don't end up in guns being fired by actors on movie sets. Like, is that like a dig at the armor? Because she's saying that Alec Baldwin did not follow safety practices. This shit is gonna get crazier and crazier. This is a rare instance when the system broke down and someone should be legally culpable for the tragic consequences, the document elaborated, claiming that person is not Alec Baldwin. Amongst the claims found within the legal document filed by Nikas, one read that Baldwin had never been involved in a breach of safety on the set of any movie or film and has safely handled firearms and other weapons without incident in at least a dozen films and television projects. Yeah, but how many of those films was he a producer and an actor in? Lawsuit also claims that the actor has found himself on set with a gun pointed at him, before specifying that Baldwin has therefore been trained for decades about gun safety on movie sets, and he received similar training from armorer Hannah Gutierrez Reed on the set of Rust. He followed the training when this tragedy occurred on October 21st. The lawsuit filed by Baldwin reassured it's like they're suing to get ahead of the investigation. But I mean, we don't even know where the investigation's sitting right now because it's gone quiet. It's gone quiet. It's like he's gonna get away with it. But now he's proactively suing to not be legally to be found not legally culpable. Like maybe they know something that we don't coming about the investigation. Baldwin's lawsuit claims that Halyna Hutchins' death has been obscured by false allegations, finger pointing by various parties that diverts attention from the most important questions in this case. How did live ammunition get on the set of Rust? Who put the live bullet in the gun? And why did the experts who were hired to check the gun fail to detect the bullet? It then asserts the facts make clear that Baldwin is not culpable for these events or failures. The gun's in your hands. The gun is still in your hands. You are responsible for that gun. You are responsible, period. When I was in the Navy and we were checking out guns, the gun was handed to me, it was checked out, I loaded it, I made sure it was ready. I'm responsible for the gun. Okay? If there's something wrong with the gun that our master at arms didn't do their due diligence, that doesn't matter. That's bullshit because I've signed off for the gun. It's in my possession. I'm responsible for that. No joke, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I almost got shot in the face when I was in the Navy. I was relieving somebody on duty. That person takes the gun. They remove the clip, right? They remove the clip. Actually, hold on a second. I'm back. All right. So I have my clip. I have my mag right here. All right. Empty. Nothing in it. I have my Glock. Clear. Okay. So the guy takes it, takes the gun, removes the clip, removes the mag. Okay? And then, before he does anything else, this moron points the gun at me. He goes to dry fire it, and then his face goes fucking pale, and I'm looking at him dead in the face like, what are you doing? Because he was about to pull the fucking trigger with a round still in the gun. He hadn't cleared chamber. You're responsible. You take any shortcuts anywhere in the procedures that are laid down to make sure that the weapons are safe, you're going to end up running the risk of shooting somebody. Never ever point your gun, especially if you haven't done a safety check yourself of that gun. Once it's in your possession, that's on you. Okay? I feel fucking terrible for Alec Baldwin. And I'm going to preface it with this. I feel terrible for him because he took someone's life, and I don't wish that on anybody, especially if it's an accident. And I do believe it's an accident, but ultimately he is responsible because the gun was in his hand. Okay? He chose to dry fire, whether it was loaded with blanks or whether it was loaded with real rounds, whether it was empty. He pointed the gun at somebody. The fact that he's trying to get out ahead of this tells me that there's something seriously about to happen coming down the pipeline in terms of the investigation. That's just my gut instinct, okay? I'm not a legal expert. I'm not even a gun safety expert, okay? I'm just a Second Amendment guy. The lawsuit also claims that in spite of the onset shooting that killed Halyna Hutchins and injured Joel Souza, Baldwin reached out to the film's cast in an attempt to garner support to finish working on the movie. Baldwin made an exhaustive effort to contact the rest cast in the hope of acquiring their support to finish the film. He did so both with the intent of honoring Halyna's legacy by completing her last work and of compensating Hutchins and his son from the film's profits. It further stipulates that depending on the success of Rust upon its completion and release, this additional component of the settlement would likely have equaled millions of dollars. So instead of paying out of pocket, okay, to compensate Hutchins' husband and her son, instead of paying out of pocket, he wants to complete the film to pay them off that way as compensation, and it has nothing to do with him trying to recoup the money that he himself put into this. I'm not buying it. Baldwin asked Hutchins whether she wanted to see him cock the gun as the script required. She responded yes. He cocked the gun, which primes the gun to be fired. Writes Negas in the legal complaint, adding Baldwin tipped the gun down somewhat so that the lens of the camera would be able to focus on his hands action of the top of the gun. While performing this action, Baldwin asked Hutchins, am I holding it too far down, and do you see that? Hutchins responded that she could see Baldwin's action from her angle. Baldwin then pulled back the hammer, but not far enough to actually cock the gun. When Baldwin let go of the hammer, the gun went off. Oh, yeah, you can do that too. Everyone's responsible. Ultimately, Baldwin is at fault, okay? He needs to be held responsible because the gun was actually in his hands, right? But that doesn't absolve everybody else that was involved for failing to do their checks. Everyone fucked up. And the fact that Baldwin is trying to litigate and sue his way out of being culpable in any way, shape, or form for his part in this tragedy is an even bigger slap in the face to the memory of Halyna Hutchins and the injuries that Joel sustained. He's the producer. He's the actor in control of the firearm at the time. He pointed a gun, whether it was loaded with blanks, whether it was empty, whether it had actual rounds, which in this case it did. He pointed a gun at somebody and fired it. He took actions with that weapon that resulted in it discharging, accidental or intentional, and killed another human being, and he needs to bear responsibility for that. Leave your comment. Let me know what you think. I can't believe he's doing this. And I'll put a link in the bottom for this article so you can read it yourself.